Hi everyone, welcome back to the Running to My Past project. I'm Deputy and I'm on a journey to find my old self again. And what better way to do that than to train for and run a marathon? This is my couch to marathon story. And if you're new here, I've documented every single step along the way that led up to this point. So click here somewhere to follow the journey from day one. Now, without further ado, let's get into the video. We start the video on Friday morning at ridiculous o'clock, which is 3 a.m. in case you're wondering, because I had an early flight to catch from Amsterdam to Southampton. After copious amounts of coffee, me and my family headed to the airport, and when we got to the plane, it was almost empty, which I've never seen before really. It was pretty creepy. After a bumpy flight with lots of turbulence, we arrived in Southampton before 9. When we landed, the stewardess welcomed us and said, "Welcome home." And honestly, I felt that, so I teared up a little. I'm not gonna lie, it was so emotional to be back in the city, and I've missed it so much. We then got onto the Unilink bus, which took us to the city center, where our hotel was, but we had to wait 3 hours before we could check in, so we even had more coffee, and I had a small English breakfast, which sadly I didn't film, which is a mistake on my part. I'm sorry. When we finally checked into our rooms, it was stacked with coffee and tea, but I wanted only one thing, which was to sleep. And I did. In fact, I slept for hours and hours right until dinner. We ended up going to my favorite restaurant, which is Turtle Bay, and for the first time I felt so old sitting there, and I couldn't even drink a cocktail during happy hour, but I did have a really nice halloumi Buddha bowl, spiced fries, and even dessert, which was a banoffee cheesecake and part of a salted caramel brownie, and both of these desserts were amazing. The next day was the day before the race, and me and my family went to the Sea City Museum, which I like to call the Titanic Museum, and I've been there once or twice before, but I love it there, and I'm always so impressed by how they bring the story of the Titanic and the impact on the city to life. We then had scones because we don't have those in the Netherlands, and of course with clotted cream and jam. Afterwards, I picked up my bib for the race, and I'm one of those people who has lucky numbers. Mine are 2 and 7, and imagine my smile when I saw my race number. We then did the stupidest thing imaginable. We went to check out part of the course, as my mom wanted to know the best place to cheer me on, and we ended up walking for an hour and a half. And let me tell you, sightseeing is not something you want to do the day before your big race, because my legs felt tired afterwards. So I basically stayed in my room the entire rest of the day, sorting out my gear for the race and lying in bed and doing nothing. I had a nice bowl of pasta and fries in the hotel restaurant, which did the trick, and I went to bed early because race day was upon us. I had overnight oats with chocolate milk and strawberries that looked fine in the morning but had grown mold by evening, which was suspicious. I had 2 sandwiches with jam ready to go, energy drink, and 6 gels. But there was something going on. Storm Kathleen. Regardless, it was go time.
Paces are 2 hour 20-minute paces, just making their way through now.
I had forgotten how hilly Southampton is, and the storm got pretty bad, so I decided not to worry about it, not to worry about my time, and just try to enjoy the race in the city as much as possible. I felt great the first 10 kilometers, despite the hills and the dreadful Itchen Bridge, and I finished the first half of the marathon in 2 hours and 22 minutes. At the halfway mark, I received my second sandwich and second energy drink, which was a great strategy. But then came the second half of the marathon, and the wind got worse and worse, and I decided to walk some of the hills as my heart rate got really high. Highlight of the run was definitely running in St. Mary's Stadium. I've been there before to watch the Saints play, but running in it was definitely really nice, and I took a lot of photos there too. My strategy for fueling was to take a gel each 6 kilometers, which was also fine. It was an emotional run for me, which I will talk about more in another video, and it was definitely harder than I expected, especially the last few miles, but I got it done and I finished in 5 hours and 6 minutes, which is 20 minutes slower than what I aimed for. But like I said, once I saw the wind and the course, my goal was to simply finish and enjoy the race. Now, I said I wanted to go to Sprinkles afterwards, but I was exhausted, walked funny, and I was nauseous, so I went back to the hotel room and only came out of bed for dinner, but I still felt really nauseous, so I didn't have an amazing post-marathon meal or a glass of wine. Nope. I had butternut squash soup and water, and I tried my best not to throw up in the restaurant because there were kids there. The next morning, we woke up early again, got coffee, you know the drill with me, got put on standby for our flight, and after freaking out for 2 hours, we got told we had a seat, so we flew back home, and I had some champagne to celebrate my achievement after all. So, did I find my old self? Why am I called Deputy? And what is next for me? All will be revealed very soon. Thank you so much for watching, and to be continued.